There are fears 3 Australian activists being held on a Japanese whaling security ship could be taken to Japan to face criminal charges. The protesters boarded the Shonan Maru 2 off the southwest of Western Australia on Saturday night. The government says it's working with Japanese authorities to ensure the safety of the men, but admits Australia doesn't have direct jurisdiction over this.
They have boarded a Japanese vessel outside Australian territorial waters, and that does mean the legal steps open to us are slightly limited.
It's the third time in 4 years Australian activists have boarded a Japanese whaling ship. And for the latest now, we'll take you live to Captain Paul Watson on board the Steve Irwin. Captain, can you just take us through the circumstances under which these men did board the vessel, what happened and especially why?
Well, first of all, we have to understand the Attorney General must think that Australia is a province of Japan because this took place 16 miles off the coast, well inside the contiguous zone where Australian Customs and Immigration have authority. It happened at 4:30 yesterday in the morning, and they boarded the Shonan Maru number 2 to do what this government in Australia promised to do but wouldn't do, which is to take action against whaling. Now, I just find it absolutely disgraceful that an armed Japanese vessel can take Australian citizens right off the shore and take them as prisoners and threaten to bring them back to Japan. And the government says help.
But they boarded the ship.
They boarded a security vessel, the same one that cut the Adi Gill in half, the same one that refused to cooperate with maritime authorities' investigation into the destruction of the Adi Gill, and also a vessel which was banned from Australia's economic zone by the Federal Court of Australia in 2008. It's a criminal ship, and the government of Australia did nothing about it. So therefore, these 3 brave Australians had to go out and make a point of the fact that the government is not living up to its pre-election promises.
If you're so upset that they've been arrested, what else would you expect the Japanese on board a security ship to do with 3 people boarding?
Well, it's not much of a security ship. I think they're quite humiliated by the fact that this is the second time that their so-called security ship has been boarded. So I think they're more acting out of embarrassment than anything else. But the fact is that vessel had no business there. Last week, Kevin Rudd himself said that if it had come into Fremantle or any Australian port, it would be arrested. So how is a vessel that is subject to arrest in an Australian port allowed to take Australian citizens prisoner only 16 miles off of the coast of Australia?
So you believe the Minister, Nicola Roxon, the Attorney General, is wrong in saying that this is outside of Australia's jurisdiction?
Of course she'll be proven wrong. It's all on GPS. It's all recorded, the position of where this took place. It was well inside the contiguous zone. It's Australia's authority over that particular zone in matters of immigration and customs. So, yes, she is wrong, and she's just shooting from the hip without bothering to investigate, taking the words of the Japanese government, and we all know how honest the Japanese government has been over things like whaling, Fukushima, and other issues.
What if they are taken back to Japan to face trial?
I think it'll be something that the Australian government will certainly regret, and a lasting legacy and a stain upon the government of Gillard. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's in the interest of the government of Australia to get their people off of that Japanese vessel and to also end this criminal whaling operation in the Southern Ocean.
So on the back of this, I'd be expecting that there'd be more similar action like this from your protesters?
You know, when governments fail to live up to their promises, and it's up to the citizens to go and take whatever risks are necessary to do the job that the governments have promised to do. The Japanese are targeting endangered whales in an established international whale sanctuary in violation of a global moratorium on whaling. If this was Africa, they would be shot for poaching. But no, they're not black, they're not poor, they're wealthy, and they're Japanese, and they do whatever they want to do and get away with it.
Paul Watson, thanks very much for joining us.